Hello viewers, welcome to our Critics Tech channel. Today we are back with the big breaking news. Russia became the first country to officially register a coronavirus vaccine Sputnik 5 and it was ready for use. The vaccine's mass production is expected to start in September and mass vaccination in October this year. Russian ministry said that 20 countries had made preliminary applications for over 1 billion dosage. Russia's president Mr. Vladimir Putin informed that one of his two daughters had already been vaccinated, and he repeatedly emphasized that the vaccine underwent the necessary tests and it had proven efficacy with lasting immunity from the coronavirus. A Critics Tech doesn't have proof whether any one of Putin's two daughters was vaccinated or not. But a video that went viral in the social media showing Putin's daughter being vaccinated was credibly fake. Vaccine nationalism seems to have emerged as a major force for accelerating fast-track vaccine trials. Hurried launches of COVID vaccines are proposed for public use without any tested claims of efficacy and safety. More than the strength of science, commercial interests are playing a very strong role in this race and pushing hard for a podium finish. Taking the advantage of the public-funded foundational science, the industry is out for making money. Macho nationalism and greed for money are a toxic mix. A Critics Tech wants to make it clear that the world can do well without such toxicity. Anyway, amid the rising novel coronavirus cases and deaths across the world, President Putin's announcement of Russian vaccine actually triggered more concerns than relief. The annoyances over Russian vaccine include some of the major areas. First of all, how much is the efficacy of Russian vaccine? Secondly, whether the safety profile has been well established. Thirdly, for how long can this vaccine be protective against COVID-19? And finally, for today's episode, is Russian COVID vaccine something very unique? Here, let me request the first-time viewers of this channel to watch my earlier video on Oxford's COVID vaccine. I will leave the link in the description box below. Let's begin with the efficacy of Russian vaccine. Russia's COVID-19 vaccine has been developed jointly by the Gamaleya Research Institute of Epidemiology and Microbiology along with the Russian Defense Ministry. Researchers across the world, however, are annoyed with Russia since it has not completed large trials to test the vaccine's safety and efficacy. Renowned journal Nature has informed us that so far only 2 early stage trials have been listed on clinicaltrials.gov in which the Gamaleya vaccine has been given to 76 volunteers. Please note that listing a study does not mean it has been evaluated. Since no results from those trials have been published, hence very little is known about this experimental vaccine. The efficacy of Russian vaccine is not yet known to the world. However, the chief researchers who heads the Center for Clinical Research on Medications at Sheshenov University has informed the Russian news agency TASS that the human trials for the vaccine has been completed and the results will be published soon. So, we shall have to wait for some more time to understand the efficacy of Russian vaccine, though the amount of business has already been fixed at least much before the vaccine's efficacy been established. Now, beside efficacy, let's examine the safety profile of the Gamaleya vaccine, whether it has been well established or not. Speaking at a government meeting, Russia's President Mr. Putin emphasized that the vaccine has undergone proper testing and it has been proven safe to use. But what is the basis of Mr. Putin's claim? Phase 3 trials of the vaccine are yet to be completed. You know that such trials are mandatory, which involve a large group of thousands of people to whom either a vaccine or a placebo injection is given. Then these participants are being tracked to see whether the vaccine prevents disease and to assess the rare side effects also, which might not have been observed in the earlier stage of the trials in smaller group of people. Now, we can easily understand that in absence of the data of phase 3 trials, the safety profile of Russian vaccine is yet to be well established. But Russia's healthcare minister, Mikhail Murashko, has informed that the vaccine would be gradually introduced to citizens while starting immediately with the health workers and teachers. Viewers, please tell me now, is this not an adventurism at the cost of people's lives? Why should the public health be put at risk for the dirty profit? Our next point is to understand for how long can Russian vaccine be protective against COVID-19. The director of the Gamaleya National Research Center for Epidemiology and Microbiology, Alexander Ginsberg, said that the protective properties of the vaccines will last for at least 2 years. But where is the proof of such tall claim? Incidentally, the scientists and the researchers across the world have sharply reacted to this. Please meet a couple of them. Let's learn from Professor Keith Neal, who happens to be the Emeritus Professor of the Epidemiology of Infectious Diseases at the University of Nottingham. Professor Neal said, "There are a number of steps that need to be taken before a vaccine is used at a population level. It is not possible to know if the Russian vaccine has been shown to be effective without submission of scientific papers for analysis, and then there may be problems on data quality." Dr. Michael Head, Senior Research Fellow in Global Health at the University of Southampton, has expressed his dissatisfaction. He has said, "It is unclear precisely what is actually happening with the Russian vaccine. At this point in time, there is no data on the Russian-led vaccine for the global health community to scrutinize." Now let us also hear from the head of Russia's Association of Clinical Trials Organization, Svetlana Zavidova. Zavidova has clearly mentioned that without a completed phase 3 trial, it will not be clear whether the vaccine prevents COVID-19 or not, and it will be difficult to tell whether it causes any harmful side effects. In short, a critic's take has valid reasons to conclude that the protective properties of Russian vaccine are far from the established truths. The fourth and the last point for today's discussion is whether Russian vaccine is really unique. Peter Weiss, a vaccine scientist at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas, mentioned that the technical feat of developing a COVID-19 vaccine is not very complicated. The hard part is producing these vaccines under quality umbrellas. The Gamaleya vaccine, which has been reportedly given in 2 dosage, is actually made of 2 adenoviruses. In one of the earlier videos, we have discussed about the adenovirus, so I am not going into the details of it here. Anyway, the first dose of the Russian vaccine contains an AD26 virus. The same strain is used in an experimental vaccine being developed by pharmaceutical company Johnson & Johnson of New Jersey and its subsidiary Janssen. The second booster dose is made of an AD5 virus, which is similar to an experimental jab being developed by CanSino Biologics in Tianjin, China. According to the vaccine's Russian language registration certificate, the participants who received 1 or 2 dosage of the vaccine had produced antibodies against SARS-CoV-2's spike protein. These findings are similar to the results of early stage trials of other candidate vaccines. Side effects were also similar, such as fever, headache, and skin irritation at the site of injection. Thus, the Russian vaccine is a copy of other candidate vaccines, practically with little or no uniqueness. From the above discussions, a critic's take has noted that the efficacy, safety, and protectiveness of the Russian vaccine against COVID-19 are yet to be established. The vaccine is also not a unique discovery. The question here is, before the public launch, will the vaccine satisfy the global scientific community? Or will an emergency authorization be given even on incomplete evidence because of political compulsions? In an epidemic with high fatality rates, such hurry may be justified. But in case of COVID-19, with an infection fatality rate now estimated to be well below 1%, a critic's take wants to mention emphatically that a hurried trial and premature authorization will not be defensible on public health grounds. Presently, more than 165 vaccine candidates are there in the world. Of those, 31 are in different phases of human trials. It is the assessment of a critic's take that a fully evaluated and authorized vaccine will not be available till early next year. If trials are conducted in haste and a vaccine is launched without adequate proof of efficacy and safety, there is the grave danger of failure on a large scale. Please try to understand, it will cause serious collateral damage when science will be discredited. Proven vaccines for other diseases will be mistrusted, and public health will have a huge setback. Therefore, the spirit of global consultation and collaboration is needed to fast-track vaccine development. Clinical trials should be conducted with desired transparency and extreme scientific strictness. It is essential that the spirit of global solidarity is resurrected along with the credibility of science. With this, I intend to conclude this episode. Thank you for watching.